what about like who impressed you? Of course, we have the heavy hitters, Barcelona, Lyon, but Darian, who really impressed you? You've been loving Leuven, but
Yeah,
what stood out to you?
yeah, I really have. I just love the story of that team and the fact that they sold out their home game against Arsenal, and we're getting to see these players be put on a map in the club tournament that you dream to play in as a player, no matter where you are in the world. And so just getting stories like that and getting to follow the team and seeing how they've clawed their way back into games where they've gone down 2-0 in the first half. I don't know, it just tugs at my heartstrings. So I love that. But a team I've actually been really pleasantly surprised with is Real Madrid. I think they've been a joy to watch on the ball. They have their vulnerabilities, don't get me wrong. They definitely have them, but when they're in possession and the way that they're so fluid and dynamic and they rely on so many other players besides just a Carolyn Weir and Elena Caicedo, albeit the stars of the team, the Brits as well, that they're just so fun to watch. And I think even a little bit more aggressive than I was thinking. It's a team that you would want to play for. So I've loved watching them play. I think they're actually going to give, who do they play next?
Real Madrid played Paris.
Paris
Oh,
FC.
yeah. I think they're going to beat Paris because
Yeah.
Paris FC has been struggling. But I just think that they've been really solid, and I just love a big finger to their president that said you're not going to play at the Bernabeu until you win a tournament. So here they go.
Yes.
They're doing better than the men right now.
The shout for Real Madrid is so fun because you look at I looked at this roster heading into it and I was like, okay, well, Linda Caicedo, Caroline Ware, they're going to carry this team, but how much can two players carry an entire team through a tournament? And I don't think they had to. Yes, there was moments of brilliance from those two, but the rest of the group really stepped up and helped kind of raise the floor of Real Madrid, because I think the ceiling's really high and they came together as a collective. I like that shout for a team that impressed. I agree. I think they impressed, but I also had high standards for Real Madrid in this competition. I wanted them to do well.
Jen, did you have anybody that was a pleasant surprise?
Yeah, I think, look, for straight away, I'll say Manchester United. I think for any team that's their first year in Champions League, and I think, Darian, you made a great point this morning. There was also the zero expectations on them when it is. So it's like when you do actually play well and perform, it's maybe an added conversation to it. But for me, don't forget as well, they were in earlier rounds. They had to get to this point in games prior to the league phase to end up qualifying. But to win 3 games straight away, and of course PSG was one of them, who ended up obviously being massively underperforming. So there's talk around that as well. But I just think even up against Wolfsburg, okay, big defeats. They came from mistakes. And I think Mark Skinner, the way he's managed a very young team, you can see the strategy behind it. I think a lot of managers in that position would play the same team and just almost injuries come with that, and you would start to see the breakdown, and then they would really struggle in the league. He's not willing to sacrifice his players and protecting them, and I absolutely have the utmost respect for him. He's rested Elatum where possible. He's rested Rolfo where possible. Mallard's had not spells on the bench, but they've definitely rotated in and out. So that's why you begin to see that sort of dip in the league, or those bigger losses against top teams. But I think to end the league phase with a win against Juventus, for me, I was always going to look at that game as teams closer in rankings, if I can say that, or similar levels of quality. Because sometimes you can't compete with a Lyon who's made massive signings, budget's completely different, squad depth completely different. They've massively outshone expectation, I think. And so they've been a great surprise for me.
Manchester United took down Juve 1-0 yesterday, Jen. Was that the match that kind of had the most movement or the chaos or the most influence, would you say, in this final match day of the league phase, that a team that needed to get the win in Manchester United and they were able to do it over Juventus?
In what sense? For the league phase standings, or
in terms of like the performance that you need on the final match day in order to help your seeding and your standing?
I think so, especially off the back of the two games prior they'd had Wolfsburg and then Lyon, which is like a really two tough games back to back. And, you know, you forget everyone goes back to their domestic seasons. There's quite a lot of time in amongst that. So I think to end on a really good high and actually to get another 3 points and really make a jump in the league phase. Yes, absolutely. Not just to, you know, end on a high, but league phase points matter. And I said it, that's what 1, 2, 3, 4 wins for them. Like 4 wins out of 6. That's phenomenal effort. Yeah, I know. You of course, and 2 losses against 2 of the biggest teams in the competition.
Yeah,
Historic.
and because they also then finish in the top half of the knockout round, they get better seeding, they get better home field advantage towards the end of it. I think Bayern's shutout win over Vålerenga was. I mean, of course, it propelled them into the top 4, but to get a shutout, to be really defensively sound and to not concede any goals heading into now what you get is a break in terms of this competition, really big for me. Bayern was a team that I think had moments of weaknesses where they conceded consistently in this competition. They needed a shutout to end this league phase, to end on a high note. And that was, for me, that Bayern Vålerenga game and that win for Bayern was the biggest performance. That a team that needed that win came down to Bayern Munich for me. Darian, you had them though going. They were your dark horse, but of the performances yesterday, was there a team or a performance that had a big game that they needed it?
That had a big game that they needed it. Sorry, guys, I'm having like short-term memory. I mean, I think Bayern
in so many games.
I know. I think Bayern, especially after that draw from Atletico Madrid, I think they needed to come out with a statement. And I think they did that against Vålerenga, albeit Vålerenga being a team that clearly struggled throughout this Champions League run. I think when we're looking at leaving off going into the knockouts or solidifying your spot in the quarterfinals, I think Lyon had the biggest statement.
Ooh.
Lyon flexed their depth yesterday. Atletico Madrid is a good team. They're in the Champions League. They've notoriously been in it. They're a difficult team to play against. And for them to come out and score 4 goals, Corbin Schrader had a screamer. To me, the teams that have the most depth, that no matter the subs, if you look at their bench and the subs that are lining up and you're like, oh shit, they're coming in now, those are the teams that are going to succeed and do well. And the fact that their second best, whoever their substitutions are, their game changers that are coming into the game are coming and making a statement and adjusting the entire way they play and still breaking a team down is huge for me. So when I look at that going into, you know, I have Lyon going all the way, no surprise. But going into the quarterfinals, no matter who they play, Jen and I kind of talked about this today, whether they meet Barcelona or whoever it is, to me, Lyon shouldn't be scared to go against any team like that. And I think there are teams that when they get to the knockouts, when they get to the quarters, they are scared to approach those big dogs, and Lyon isn't.
Yeah.
I would also argue that even on that last day, going back to who needed it, Arsenal needed it as well. Arsenal needed a win to go back to both of your points. Seeding was really important. Arsenal were sitting on 9 before that game. They needed a win not just for standings, but for I've said this already. They've been up and down and needed that momentum going into Christmas, going into take into the winter break. So that for me, that was another massive win and a comfortable that I think they needed.
Well, they did get the win. They take down Leuven in this final day of the things of the league phase. Leuven, Yadi.
I was going to say Chelsea too. I'm looking at the
now there's a lot. It's like
I'm like, you know what? Chelsea beating Wolfsburg going into the quarterfinals. I mean, that's huge for a team that we've been, I've been critical on their inconsistency and lack of consistent goal scoring with the depth that they have. But I still think if they're going into a match against Barcelona or Lyon, they're the ones fearing the opponent.